Hi all, welcome back. This is my follow-up video on my initial part one video, which is metals shining. Today, I plan to do a daily review on how what my stock recommendations look like and how things are going. So as part of it, let me quickly jump on to metals uh, segment and let's see what's happening there. Today overall has been highly volatile. Before we get into metals, right? Take a quick look on what's happening today. So Nifty was highly volatile. It kept moving up and down. And in fact, it's close below the 50-day moving average. A small candle set, but big movements. I'm just looking at 15 minutes candle, right? There was some recovery after the huge drop this morning, gap down, and then there was a recovery, but then it got sold off after around 1 o'clock, right? And it closed with a big red candle towards the very last candle of the day was red again. So huge drop, recovery, and then a sell off, right? So what does it look like on a day? Day is still weak. A lot of volatility because of the U.S. inflation numbers being high, and all the fear about rate hike and everything coming in together. So I don't see any particular strength in Nifty at this moment. That's my take on Nifty. Bank Nifty quickly. What does it say? Bank Nifty again a small candle, and it's in fact Bank Nifty had much more strength than in comparison to Nifty. Um, but today you can see it's not fallen as much, but it is doji, and it's also a gap down, right? So gap down, and then you can say stability. It recovered, recovery from 12:30 onwards, and then it recovered good till 1:45. Then fall, and the last candle you can see is a pretty big red, right? So yeah, it's the same story as Nifty, but I would still feel relatively Bank Nifty seems to be better off than Nifty, right? Now let's get to metals because that's what is interesting for me. Metals again. I'm going to remove this. Okay, here again, we know that this is the high and this is where it wants to go. But you see there are a couple of small red and small candles which are forming up. Today is a doji, and ADX is still racing on day, so that's good. Probably Natal, and then if you look at all the sectors which perform and their performance today, right? Metal and energy seems to be the one which had some amount of strength than many other. Like obviously, IT was suffering the worst, but metal still seemed to have some sort of it did put forward a fight. So it's not. It's actually even in a down market, this is something which shows some strength, right? So day again, it's. Previous low is 6,000. And so the current closing is 6023. So it's not breached the previous low, but it's a doji. Indecisiveness is there very much. We can see that. And let's look at in the week, nothing much is changing. It's still trying to cross 60. Okay, week is still looking solid. There's a possibility that, possibility I'd say it could, if it fails. I mean, if it breaches this low, right? Then it's a failed attempt, and it could retrace to the 20 moving average or even to the 50 moving average. This is the first line of support you can see here. Okay, so that's like 5881. It could retrace to that point before it will attempt to move again, right? So that's the status of the overall segment. Let's jump into the segment in itself and see what are the stocks, which are I mean, it's the ones which I made recommendation. Let's see what they're doing, right? And so before talk about the recommendation, I want to make sure that I want to be very clear that I'm not a SEBI registered analyst. I'm just a student of the market. I'm learning, right? So whatever I'm learning, I'm trying to make a video of it. So don't take this video for or consider this for any buying decision. This is purely for educational purpose. There is no any other intention behind my videos here. So Hindalco, Jindal Steel, and NMDC were the ones which I thought, I felt had the best chances yesterday. So I'll quickly jump on them, and I'll talk about them first before we look at any other stocks in the metal segment. Hindalco again, if you look at the day was red. Yesterday was a red doji candle, and today it's red. Closing yesterday's low was 541. Today's closing is 520, 520 42.70. That means still it's not close the previous day's low. There's some positivity about that. ADX is still rising, but it's a red candle, right? It could possibly mean that it's taking a resistance there. We don't know. We'll have to wait. Small candles always means I would have to wait to get a confirmation. So I'll wait to before turning bearish on this. I would wait to get confirmation. So this looks like it's taking resistance on top because that's been the peak, and it's for all likelihood it's taking resistance. Volumes are not that great on the red candle, so that's what giving me hope. So again, if you look at it, week is good. Week is good. Week is not turned red. 60 plus the RSI is still holding good. And then if you look at it, month is also good. So there is positivity in Inalco. I would still, I'm going to be taking position. Like I already told you yesterday, I've got cash positions, but any future positions, I would add only once this level is breached. So this, we can move ahead about it, right? So that's Indalco. It's still in your watch list. You wait for this levels to breach, which is 555.60, and then you can enter on long side. Jindal has good positive volumes. This today's volume is lower, but I'm a little concerned because I see a shooting star here. It's not a shooting star exactly, but there's a little shadow here, but sort of a candle with a long shadow, right? Um, so I'm cautious now. I'm cautious of Jindal. I have a feeling Jindal could retrace to this level, could retrace or could retest this level of 410 before it moves ahead. 410 also means the 20-day moving average, because overall there is some amount of negative news in the market, and this might just be working against, right? And also see this is also, so yeah, I mean, looking at it, there's a possibility that it may retrace to 410 and before it continues your upward journey, right? RSI is still about 60, ADX is still rising. Those are all positive points for Jindal. Sector is still looking good. So that's a positive point. Weak is right now sort of long shadow. Still, the other side's trying to cross about 60. Weekly volumes are comparatively on a higher side. That's a good thing, but it is still in that range, which we talked about earlier. It is still in that zone, in that rectangle pattern, which we were talking about, right? So Jindal, yeah, there's the pattern, right? Jindal again, it would be good on a long side if it breaks this as a first, and then I would take probably about this, like I would pyramid about this, right? I would have very tight stop losses here if I'm entering, because there is possibility that it will take resistance on the upside. So that's the status of Jindal on the week. There's positivity about it, but in the day there is small candles and small candles with long shadows, which means there's a lot of fight going on, possibility of reversal. So that's the case of Jindal. I would still keep it in my watch list. It is something we'll have to be closely tracking. NMDC is a stock which fell. Okay, it's not the least one actually. With VTL is the one which fell the least today. Let's look at NMDC. NMDC day. Okay, again a small red candle, but good parts, right? ADS is still rising. RSI is about 60, right? And then there is this 200 moving average, which is very close. So I'm thinking even if it falls, it could come and take support at 200-day moving average, which could be around 154, 54.5. That could be the range where it could potentially take support. Weak NMDC week is still showing good signs. It is exactly at that 50 moving average, and it's trying to cross 60 on week. volumes, if you look at in the week, is good. And also if you look at in the week, there is a squeeze breakout pattern which is there, right? So overall week is positive week. Weekly charts are showing strength for NMDC. Month again is trying to open and grow, go into 60s. NMDC, if you look at it overall, doesn't have a lot of times it's been at 60s or above 60s. ADX is rising, that's a good sign. So overall, there are a lot of positive things going for NMDC, except for the short-term headwinds, short-term news which are against, right? So that apart, I think. I'm not going to be looking at the stocks today. We're already more than 10 minutes, but I still feel these stocks have opportunity to grow. There could be short-term reversals for about 5 to 10 points. Not five, probably like yeah, depending on the stock, there could be about 5 to 10 points of correction. Um, Not actually, yeah. I mean, it could be like four to five to 10 points correction, and then it'll resume their upward journey. That's my take on metals. So I would be continuing to update these scripts. What's my take on them, and hopefully this is helping you. And if there is any sort of comments which you guys have for me, I'm open and I'm willing to take it from you guys, right? So all right, thank you, have a nice day and great trading.